Get up. Stand up. Today is not a day for excuses. It is not a day to scroll through nonsense, to sit in complaint, to wait for something better to come along and rescue you. Today is a day to rebuild yourself from the ground of Personungsprobstraced, from the ground up, from the deepest part of your inner world outward. Nobody is coming to do this work for you. You are the architect, the engineer, the builder, and the very material from which the structure gets made. Let your focus be on you every single day without exception and without fail. Shut out the noise completely. The world runs loud with opinions that do not serve you, with distractions engineered to consume your time, and with empty promises that deliver nothing of lasting value. But none of it carries any weight if you're not actively building the best version of yourself. Every second you spend absorbed in someone else's journey is a second that has been taken from your own. Stop comparing where you are to where others appear to be. Stop watching what everyone else is doing. Start working on what you were put here to accomplish. Your goals do not respond to how you happen to feel on any given morning. Discipline does not sit around waiting for motivation to show up and give it permission to begin. Winners rise and they do the work regardless of the condition of their mood, regardless of how tired they are, regardless of how little encouragement the world is currently offering. You must build a version of yourself so completely grounded in strength that doubt has nowhere to find a surface to land on. So consistent in your execution that excuses cannot keep pace with you. So locked in on your mission that every failure you encounter becomes additional fuel rather than an invitation to quit. You have no legitimate business entertaining weakness inside your own mind. Not when your dreams are still unfinished, not when there is a higher and more capable version of you still waiting to be brought into existence. Every single day, without exception, commit to becoming sharper in your thinking, smarter in your approach, and stronger in your execution. Read the material that builds your knowledge. Put in the repetitions that build your skill. Master your relationship with time so that you stop losing hours to things that produce nothing. Protect the energy you carry as though it is the most irreplaceable thing you own, because it is. When your focus is completely directed toward your own development, your power compounds with every passing day. You stop leaking time into pursuits that return nothing of value. You stop giving your best energy to people who have not earned access to it. You stop chasing the approval of others, and you start accumulating the victories that belong to you. This has nothing to do with ego. This is about elevation. This is not about being perfect in every step you take. This is about making consistent and measurable progress toward the person you were built to become. And progress only happens when your full attention is locked on the mission you have committed yourself to. Every day you are alive, you face a fundamental choice. Build yourself up or allow yourself to break down. Grow with intention or remain stagnant by default. Stay focused on what matters or fade into the background noise of wasted potential. So ask yourself the honest questions. Who are you constructing today? What brick are you placing in the foundation of your future? What weakness are you finally willing to eliminate? What strength are you choosing to develop further? Rebuilding yourself is not a single dramatic event that happens once and leaves you permanently transformed. It is a daily war fought in the quiet hours. It is a grind that demands your presence when no one is applauding. It is a lonely commitment made over and over again with no guarantee of immediate reward. But if you stay fully locked in on the process, the rewards that accumulate on the other side of that commitment are unlike anything a comfortable life could ever produce. Let the world sleep. Let them fill their hours with conversation about what they plan to accomplish someday. You are focused on right now. You are building something that cannot be taken from you, a rebuilt, relentless, and completely unstoppable version of everything you were always meant to be. Now go. Get to work. You are your greatest project. Rebuild yourself daily with purpose. That truth is not something that bends under pressure or fades with time. It is not motivational content, crafted to make you feel temporarily inspired. It is a mandate issued directly to your soul, a personal declaration that carries the weight of your entire future behind it. There will never be a task placed in front of you that carries more genuine importance than the ongoing work of building yourself. Not your career achievements, not the quality of your relationships, not the accumulation of your comforts and possessions. You specifically, the quality of your inner life, your peace of mind, your mental strength, your character under pressure. All of it flows from the foundation you choose to build within yourself every single day. Every single day you are alive. You are either constructing the version of yourself that you were born to become, or you are tearing it down through the accumulated effect of distraction, laziness, and the quiet surrender to doubt. There is no neutral position available, no resting state where you simply maintain. You are always either building or dismantling. Rebuilding yourself is not a single decision you make once during a crisis, and then check off the list. It is not something reserved for the dramatic turning points of life or the annual promises made when the calendar resets. It is daily in its demand. It is hourly in its requirement. It is happening right now in this moment, whether you are aware of it or not. You wake up and you ask yourself with genuine honesty what you will build inside yourself today. Will you construct a deeper discipline? Will you strengthen the quality of your mental focus? Will you become more purposeful in your choices, more controlled in your reactions, more dangerous in your execution? Too many people spend their lives waiting for life itself to change on their behalf. They wait for the perfect conditions before they begin. They wait for motivation to appear like some external gift delivered from above. But life does not reward those who wait with open hands. Life rewards those who work with full effort and without waiting for conditions to improve before they begin. You are not a helpless figure waiting for someone else to come along and save you from your circumstances. You are the builder, you are the sculptor who determines the shape of everything that gets produced. You are the one who decides each morning which version of yourself rises to face the day. Let others spend their hours watching and talking about what they wish they could become. You move in silence and you rebuild in the dark hours when no one is watching and no one is applauding. While they scroll, you study with purpose. While they complain about what is wrong with their lives, you train your capacity to respond to difficulty with discipline. While they doubt whether anything is possible, you simply continue doing. That is the difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck. That is the edge that separates the ones who build from the ones who wish they had. The rebuild is not a glamorous process. It is not something that looks impressive from the outside. While it is happening, it is gritty and frequently lonely and often thankless. But it carries a power that no comfortable life can produce. Because every time you choose discipline over the pull of comfort, you lay another brick in the foundation of the future you are assembling. Rebuilding yourself begins the moment you take full and unconditional responsibility for where your life is heading. You stop assigning blame to your past experiences, to the environment you grew up in, to the disadvantages you faced, to the luck you were not handed. Those things may explain where your story began, but they carry absolutely no authority over where it is going from this point forward. You choose the habits you maintain. You choose the content you feed your mind each day. You choose what you will and will not tolerate from yourself and from the world. Around you, every choice you make in each of these areas becomes either a tool that helps you build something extraordinary or a weapon that the world uses to slowly break you down. Focus becomes your sharpest and most reliable tool in this process. When your attention is scattered across too many directions at once, your energy is consumed without producing results of any significance. But when your mind is locked completely on growth, on improvement, on the execution of the mission in front of you, you become a force that is genuinely difficult to stop. You stop allocating your precious attention to opinions that carry no weight. You stop giving your energy to drama that produces nothing of value. You stop following the movements of crowds that are not building anything worth following. Every action you take becomes deliberate. Every minute carries the weight of intention. Every move you make is calculated to advance the construction. Here is the truth that most people work hard to avoid because facing it requires Genuine courage. Most people avoid the rebuilding process entirely because it demands that they face real pain. Growth is always painful. It requires you to outgrow people you have been comfortable with. It requires you to walk through stretches of the journey completely alone. It forces you to stand face to face with your weaknesses and dismantle them one by one rather than pretending they do not exist. It demands that you rebuild your habits from the ground up, reshape the quality of your thinking, and reconstruct your identity around a higher standard. You will fail along the way. You will slip back toward old patterns. But if you are genuinely locked in on the mission, if you refuse to quit under any circumstance, you come back stronger every single time. Failure is not the end of the story. It is the opening of the next chapter. It is the beginning of the next level of capability you are being prepared to inhabit. No one can do this work on your behalf. They can cheer for you from the side, they can doubt you from a comfortable distance, they can watch with whatever emotion they choose. But the actual work, the real and unglamorous daily grind of rebuilding, that belongs exclusively to you. You either accept the pain of rebuilding yourself with intention every day, or you accept the pain of watching your potential go completely unrealized for the rest of your life. One of those pains ends, the other one does not. So, what exactly are you waiting for? You have everything required to begin right now, already inside you. You have time, the same 24 hours that every person who built something remarkable before you was given. You have pain available to use as fuel. You have a dream that has been waiting for you to back it with action, instead of just intention. Do not allow a single day to pass where you fail to invest something meaningful in your own greatness. Do not let comfort construct a cage around you that keeps you from the person you were meant to become. Look at your own reflection every morning and ask what you will build today, not what you will watch, not whose approval you will chase, not what excuse you will construct to justify staying where you are. Ask what piece of your future you will build with discipline, with vision, and with the relentless action it requires. Your mind is a tool that demands sharpening every day. Your body is the machine that carries your mission. Train it without compromise. Your soul is the compass that keeps you oriented toward what matters most. Protect it from everything that would corrupt its direction. Your time is the currency you trade for the life you will eventually inhabit. Invest it with the wisdom of someone who understands it does not come back. Once it is spent, your life is the legacy that will speak for you long after you are gone. Build it with everything you have. You require no permission from anyone to begin. You require no perfectly arranged set of circumstances before you can take the first step. You require only the decision to rise with genuine purpose, to attack every day with the full understanding that it matters, because every single day does matter in ways most people never stop to recognize. The world may not see your effort today, but they will see what your effort produces over time. And when that day arrives, when the rebuilt version of you stands firm and focused and genuinely unstoppable in front of a world that once doubted what you were capable of, you will not owe your gratitude to anyone but yourself. You will know exactly who did the work. You will know who showed up exhausted and kept building anyway, who trained in the dark hours when no one was watching, who studied and prepared while others settled into comfort, who stayed hungry long after others settled into comfort, who stayed hungry long after others had accepted good enough as sufficient. That is the power that comes from rebuilding with daily intention. That is the reward, waiting for you on the other side of the process. No compromise, no delay, no looking backward at what has already passed. Now go do the work that is waiting for you. Silence the noise that surrounds you with everything you have. The distractions this world manufactures and delivers to your attention are not your business. You were not brought into this life to absorb every opinion, to process every trend, to carry the full weight of every voice that decides to speak in your direction. You were not designed to shoulder the noise of the entire world while simultaneously attempting to build something of lasting value with what remains. Every second you lend your attention to things that do not serve your growth, you are reaching into the account of your own future and making a withdrawal that compounds against you over time. You dilute the power you carry. You scatter your energy across too many directions at once, and energy is everything. Without it concentrated and directed with full intention, you become unfocused, unproductive, and far too easily influenced by forces that have nothing to contribute to your development. The truth about this is simple but genuinely difficult for most people to accept and apply. If something does not serve your growth, it is not your concern. If it does not contribute to building the person you are in the process of becoming, do not give it your attention. If it does not move you measurably forward in the direction you have chosen, walk away from it without looking back and without explaining yourself. The world will not become quieter. That is not going to change regardless of how much you wish it would. The news will continue screaming the worst possible interpretation of every event. Social media will continue designing experiences calibrated specifically to bait your insecurities and hold your attention hostage. People operating from their own unresolved failures will continue projecting those failures outward onto your ambitions. You will hear doubt, fear, judgment, and gossip delivered from every direction in an endless and uninterrupted stream, but the disciplined mind develops the capacity to tune it out with practiced consistency. The focused soul learns to filter it, not because the filtering process is easy or comfortable, but because it is absolutely necessary for the person who is serious about rising above the average. You do not rise by allowing yourself to be reactive to everything the world sends in your direction. You rise by being intentional in everything you choose to give your energy to. You rise by protecting your mind as though it is the last and most valuable asset you possess, because when you examine the situation honestly, it genuinely is. Every minute you spend absorbed in someone else's concerns, you are walking away from your own. Every click that pulls you off your path takes something away from your capacity to build momentum toward the life you have been working to create. Most people will never reach the potential they were born with, not because they lack the raw ability to do something extraordinary, but because they are too fractured in their attention to ever build the momentum that extraordinary achievement requires. They chase everything they encounter and master absolutely nothing they begin. They accumulate detailed knowledge about celebrities, about gossip, about controversy, about trending topics, yet they remain profoundly ignorant of their own purpose, their own weaknesses, and their own next strategic move. That is the trap. That is the system that has been built around you specifically to keep you operating at an average level. It does not need to break you all at once. It only needs to hold your attention for a few extra hours each day. You must rise above it. You must detach from the noise with intention and reconnect with your mission, your specific and personal mission, with everything you have. Because the moment you do that with genuine commitment, everything around you begins to change in character. Clarity returns to your thinking. Power returns to your movement. You begin to hear your own voice again clearly, the one that has been drowned out for so long by the surrounding chaos. That voice knows exactly who you are at your deepest level. It knows precisely where you are meant to be going, but you have to quiet the world around you with real discipline in order to hear it speaking. Your ability to focus your attention is your greatest competitive weapon in a world where distraction is the dominant operating condition for the vast majority of people. Genuine and sustained focus is your most decisive advantage. Most people cannot sit alone with their own thoughts for 5 uninterrupted minutes before reaching for something to fill the silence. They have developed a dependence on constant stimulation that they do not even recognize as a weakness. You must become the person who not only tolerates stillness, but actively seeks it out and uses it as a tool. That is how mental strength gets constructed. In silence, in the discipline of saying no 1,000 consecutive times so that the yes you eventually give to your goals carries the full weight of everything you have been protecting. There will always be people in your life and around your path who want to pull you into their personal drama, their chaos, their unprocessed opinions, and their low standards for what is possible. You cannot afford to follow them there. You are building something. You are in the process of rebuilding yourself into a person of genuine power and lasting capability. You are focused on growth, and growth at the level you are pursuing requires the full and undivided attention of everything you carry. You cannot give your energy to every direction it is pulled. You must protect it, the way you protect the most valuable thing you own. Train yourself to be genuinely indifferent to distractions. Not cold as a person and not cruel in your relationships, but unshakably focused in your mission. You do not need to respond to every message the moment it arrives. You do not need to react to every post you scroll past or insert yourself into every argument that presents itself. You do not need to win every debate. You do not need to prove the legitimacy of your vision to people who do not even understand the full scope of what they are looking at. Silence is power of a very specific kind. Being misunderstood is simply the price that serious builders pay for building something real in a world that only recognizes what is already familiar. Some people in your life will describe you as distant or changed. Let them. That is exactly what you are. Others will mock the discipline you maintain because it reflects unfavorably on the choices they have been making. Ignore them completely. They are not building what you are building. They do not know what it costs to do what you are doing. They have not yet understood what it takes to protect genuine peace in a world that is entirely addicted to chaos and constant reaction. You carry no obligation to bear the noise of the world on your shoulders. You do not owe the world your constant reaction to everything it generates. What you owe is the result that your full attention and focused effort can produce. What you owe is the result that your full attention and focused effort can produce. What you owe is the best version of what you owe is the silence required to allow the vision you are carrying to take root and grow without the interference of people and forces that have no stake in its success. Distraction functions as a thief of the most sophisticated kind. Unlike other thieves, it does not force its way into your life uninvited. You open the door for it. You extend the invitation every time you indulge in something that does not move you forward. Every time you scroll without purpose, argue without cause, and compare without benefit, you make a direct trade. You exchange your power for noise, and the accumulation of those trades, made quietly and repeatedly over time, carries you further from the life you were designed to create without you, ever clearly seeing it happening. But here is the truth you need to hear right now. You can reclaim that power immediately. You can silence the world around you, not by waiting for it to change its nature, but by choosing differently with every available moment. Choosing discipline over the comfort of indulgence. Choosing purpose over the distraction of popularity. Choosing the sustained and deliberate focus that builds real things over the scattered energy of constant stimulation. That is how you take genuine and lasting control. That is how you construct something that the noise of the world cannot dismantle. You were not born to be perpetually available to every demand and every distraction that presents itself. You were born to create things of real value, to build a life of real power, and to rise to the full height of what you were assembled to become. But none of that is possible when your mind is under constant siege from everything, competing for its attention. None of it is possible when you are spending more time consuming what others have built than constructing what you were put here to create. You must protect your attention with the ferocity of a warrior who understands that the gate he is guarding is the most important position on the entire field. Not everything is permitted entry. Not everything receives a response. Not every voice that calls out gets an answer. Step back from the noise. Get completely still. Filter with ruthless clarity what actually matters and what simply wants to feel like it matters. Release the grip on everything that is only noise, and when your world becomes genuinely quieter through, your own deliberate choice, your vision grows louder in proportion. Your path becomes clearer with every distraction you remove. Your progress accelerates because nothing moves faster or with more power than a mind that has been freed from the burden of carrying everything that was never its responsibility. To begin with, the noise of the world is not your business. Your growth is. Stay completely locked in on what you are building. Discipline is the bridge between the person you are right now and the person you have decided you are going to become. You can dream with tremendous color and detail. You can visualize the outcome you want with perfect clarity every morning. You can speak affirmations with full conviction, write your goals in careful detail, and describe your ambitions to anyone who will listen until your voice gives out. But without discipline functioning as the connecting structure between where you are and where you intend to go, none of those things produce a single result that exists outside of your imagination. Discipline is the only mechanism that takes thought and converts it into action, takes action and converts it into results, and takes results and converts them into genuine transformation. It is the daily choice to do what must be done, made repeatedly and without negotiation, regardless of how you feel when the moment of required action arrives. It is the consistent sacrifice of what is immediately comfortable in favor of what produces lasting growth. And without it, every ounce of potential you carry stays locked inside of you, wasted, waiting, and ultimately forgotten. Every person alive wants to become the future version of themselves, stronger in body, more secure in finances, sharper in focus, more respected in everything they do, genuinely unstoppable in the way they move through the world. But very few of those people are willing to pay the actual price required to become that person. That price is discipline, and it is paid in full every single day without installment plans and without discount. There are no shortcuts available, no alternate routes around the required work, no secret formulas that allow you to skip the process and still collect the result. Discipline demands that you show up in repetition. It demands that you appear when the work is boring and the results are nowhere near visible. It demands your presence when you are tired, when no one is observing whether you follow through, when the motivation that started the journey ran out long ago, and all that remains is your original decision to commit. Remaining in your current state requires nothing from you. It demands only that you continue existing in the comfortable patterns you have already established. Continue surviving at the level you have been surviving. Keep doing exactly what you have been doing, and you will keep receiving exactly what you have been receiving. But if you dare to demand genuinely more from yourself, if you are serious in any real sense about the future you keep describing, then discipline is not something you can treat as optional. It is the single non-negotiable requirement. You cannot skip around it. You cannot hire someone else to maintain it on your behalf. You cannot perform a convincing imitation of it and expect it to produce real results. It reveals itself completely and without mercy in your habits, in the quality of your attitude under pressure, in your demonstrated ability to execute at a high level, even when the circumstances are not cooperating with your plans. Discipline is what keeps you in motion during the long stretches when progress is completely invisible to the outside observer. It is the dividing force between those who attempt things and those who become something through the sustained effort of attempting things over and over without quitting. It is the quiet and unglamorous power operating behind every champion who ever changed a game, every leader who ever moved a generation, every ordinary person who ever rebuilt their life from the inside out and emerged into something that the world could not ignore. Consider this with full honesty. Your current self is the direct product of your daily choices, accumulated over time. The quality of what you eat, the content you choose to feed your mind each day, the material you consume, and the ideas it installs in your thinking, the people you choose to tolerate in your environment, the actions you repeat so consistently that they have become automatic. Every day, without exception, you are either building the future version of you or betraying that version. There is no middle ground. There is no comfortable neutral space where you are doing neither, and every time you choose to skip the hard thing, the workout you committed to, the reading that would sharpen you, the deep focused work that would move your mission forward, the delayed gratification that would compound into something significant later, you are sending a message to your future self. You are communicating that you are not yet serious. That comfort still holds more authority over your behavior than your commitment does. But every single time you keep a promise to yourself, even the smallest one that no one else would ever notice, you place one more brick in the bridge between the person you currently are and the person you were always meant to become. And with enough bricks laid consistently over enough time, you arrive at that person not because the circumstances finally cooperated, not because the timing finally felt right, but because you were disciplined enough to keep building through every season that did not feel right and every moment that offered you a convincing reason to stop. Discipline sharpens your character at a depth that comfort never reaches. It fortifies your mindset against the kind of pressure that breaks people who have not built their foundation with the same material. It makes you genuinely dangerous, not to other people, but to every form of weakness, every expression of mediocrity, and every lie you once accepted about the boundaries of what you were capable of achieving. The more disciplined you become through sustained practice, the less tolerance you develop for your own excuses. You stop sitting down at the negotiating table with your own weakness. You stop walking away from commitments the moment discomfort arrives. You stop handing the authority over your behavior to your emotional state. Because the truth that discipline teaches you is that your future self is not waiting around for the right feeling to finally arrive. It is waiting for the right action to be taken. For the version of you who does not silence the alarm and slide back into comfort, who does not collapse under pressure when the result is not yet visible, who does not require the applause of others before choosing to push forward. That version of you is real and completely achievable, but only if you have the discipline to bring it out of the future and into the present through the quality of your daily choices. Never hand over the authority of your own self-worth to the judgment of other people. Validate yourself through the evidence of your results and nothing else. That means you stop waiting for the applause of an audience before you feel confident enough to move. You stop looking for permission from external sources before you believe you are capable enough to begin. You stop asking the world to confirm for you that you are enough, because as long as the value you place on yourself depends on the shifting opinions of other people, you are not free in any meaningful sense. You are trapped in a cycle where your confidence rises and collapses with every change in what others choose to say about you, and that is no foundation on which to build a powerful life. Real self-worth does not arrive in the form of compliments that fade within a day. It does not live in the numbers attached to your social presence or in the approval of people who do not fully know you. It is built from results. It is constructed from the direct and personal evidence that you can set a goal, show up for it with full commitment over a sustained period, and execute regardless of whether anyone is watching, supporting, or choosing to doubt what you are doing. You want genuine confidence? Go out and earn it through repeated action. You want real respect from the world around you? Build something that commands it. You want to move through life feeling genuinely powerful? Do the work that produces real power in a real person. Nothing and no one else can hand those things to you, and nothing and no one else should be carrying the responsibility for creating them on your behalf. Your sense of self-worth needs to be non-negotiable. It needs to be completely untouchable by the opinions of people who were not present for the work you put in. It must be rooted in your effort, in your consistency, in the discipline you have maintained, and not in external validation that arrives with fanfare one day and disappears completely the next. There is a trap that captures a significant portion of people who are genuinely capable of more than they are producing. They fall into the habit of trying to look successful before they have done the work required to become successful. They talk with more frequency than they execute. They post about progress that has not yet occurred. They project confidence they have not yet earned, And what they consistently fail to recognize is that every second spent managing the impression they make on others is a second that was available for building something real and lasting. Results do not lie. They communicate with a volume and a permanence that no collection of carefully chosen words could ever match. They speak louder than any praise received, and they carry more authority than any opinion delivered. When you validate yourself through the evidence of your actual results, you no longer need to spend your energy convincing anyone of your worth. You show them through the quality of what you produce. You do not need to explain your value because it is demonstrating itself through your work. You are not dependent on the recognition of the world because you are too consumed by the work of becoming someone the world cannot ignore. That is the fundamental distinction between the people who pursue self-worth from outside themselves and the people who create it deliberately from within. One waits for the feeling of being enough before they begin. The other works consistently until they are, and you know precisely where that shift begins. It begins the moment you stop amplifying the voice of everyone else's opinion above your own. The world will always have commentary to offer about what you are doing and what you should be doing differently. A portion of those people will choose to support your direction. Another portion will openly oppose it. The vast majority will not notice it at all. But none of that carries any weight whatsoever if you are clear in your direction, fully focused on your process, and relentless in your execution. When your self-worth is anchored to your mission, rather than floating on the surface of your mood, you become a force that external opinions simply cannot penetrate. Your value is not located in what others say about you. It lives in your actions, in the quality of how you show up when no one has organized an audience to observe you, in the days when quitting would have been the easier and more comfortable choice, and you chose differently, in the discipline to keep building when the results are not yet visible and the timeline has extended beyond what felt reasonable. That is the origin of genuine pride, not the pride manufactured by ego, but the pride that is earned through consistent and honest effort applied over real time. Let us be completely clear about what this is and what it is not. This has nothing to do with believing yourself superior to others around you. It is about finally and completely refusing to believe yourself less than you actually are. It is about ending the habit of looking outward for what you have the full capacity to develop within. You cannot build a foundation for your self-worth on things that change according to circumstances outside your control. The attention of other people changes. Their approval shifts based on factors that have nothing to do with your actual worth. The relationships in your life evolve. The status you hold in any environment shifts over time. If your sense of value is attached to any of those things, your sense of value will shift with them in ways that leave you permanently unstable. You must anchor your self-worth in what you control directly: your mindset, the quality of the effort you bring, the consistency of your growth. Those things are yours. They cannot be adjusted by someone else's change of opinion or someone else's change of circumstances. When you hand over the authority for your self-worth to the outside world, you simultaneously hand over the power that was always meant to be yours to carry. You are the one who lives with your results every single day. You are the one who experiences the direct truth of your effort. Let that evidence be your proof of value. Let it be the source from which your confidence draws its strength. Validate yourself through progress. Validate yourself with the honest recognition that you are more capable today than you were a year ago, a month ago, a week ago. Validate yourself with the fact that you are showing up for the work even when everything in your environment is making a compelling argument for stopping, that you are becoming more focused, more disciplined, more locked into the person you have committed to becoming. That is what counts toward the kind of self-worth that lasts. That is the evidence that no one can confiscate from you because it lives inside your own direct experience. And if you are not yet where you want to be, that is valuable information. It means you have space remaining to grow, and genuine growth is the most powerful form of self-validation available to any human being. Not surface-level praise delivered by people who barely know you, not approval handed over by people with their own agendas, but deep internal proof that you are moving forward, that you are transforming in ways that matter, that you are becoming someone the earlier version of you could not have recognized or matched. Begin keeping promises to yourself with the same seriousness you would apply to keeping promises made to someone you deeply respect. Begin setting standards that stretch what you believe is possible, and then discipline yourself to rise and meet those standards consistently. Begin doing the hard things, not because someone is watching and will reward you for the effort, but because you are watching yourself every moment of every day. You know better than anyone whether you are genuinely building or simply performing the appearance of building. The people who transform their lives completely are the ones who stop sending their self-worth outside of themselves to be evaluated. They stop explaining their direction to people who have not earned the right to evaluate it. They stop requiring recognition before they feel justified in continuing. They go to work in the quiet. They get still. They get focused with a depth that most people never reach. And when the results eventually arrive, they do not pause to make a production out of it. They simply continue, because for the person who has built their self-worth from the inside out, the work itself is the reward. Take the power back completely. Stop asking the world to construct your sense of worth. For you already carry everything required to build it yourself. But the responsibility for doing that building belongs entirely to you, not to them, to you. Not to them, to you. Let your results become the loudest voice in every room you enter. Let your work speak with such clarity that you no longer need to add your own words to explain it. Because when your self-worth is built from the inside, validated by your own honest effort and protected daily by the discipline you maintain, you become untouchable in the deepest sense of the word. Build habits that serve the person you are in the process of becoming. Not the person you currently are, not the version of you that belongs to the past, the person who is emerging through your daily choices. The version of you that lives in full alignment, with discipline, with focused effort, with clear vision, with genuine strength, and with the consistent results that prove all of those qualities are real. That version of you will never make an appearance in your life if the habits you maintain each day are organized around serving your comfort rather than your calling. You can spend years dreaming about transformation. You can talk about success with great passion and detailed specificity. You can visualize the change you want to see with complete clarity every single morning. But if your daily actions do not reflect the standard of excellence required to become that version of yourself, then everything you are doing is nothing more than recycling the same frustration in a new cycle. You must understand this principle at a fundamental level. You do not rise to the level your goals occupy. You fall to the level your habits have established. Every morning and every single hour within that morning, you are casting a vote for the identity you are solidifying. Every repetition of a behavior is either reinforcing the person you were born to become or cementing more deeply the identity you were supposed to outgrow and move past. There is no neutral position. There are no genuine days off from the building process. You are always reinforcing something. The only question is whether you are deliberately reinforcing greatness or passively reinforcing the weakness that is most comfortable to maintain. You cannot create a powerful and lasting future while holding on to habits that are perfectly calibrated to keep you operating at an average level. You cannot expect the life of someone disciplined, focused, and mentally resilient while living according to the patterns of someone who consistently chooses distraction over depth, avoids discomfort as a default response, and organizes their daily choices around the pursuit of ease. That gap between what you want and what you are producing is not a mystery. It is the direct result of the distance between the habits the future requires and the habits the present is actually maintaining. And the only path to closing that gap is to deliberately reconstruct your daily behaviors until they reflect the values and standards of the future you are demanding for yourself. Start with honest self-awareness. Get completely clear about who you want to become and what that person actually looks like in daily practice. Be specific and be honest with yourself. Does that version of you sleep through the early hours that are most productive? Do they avoid the physical training that builds their capacity? Do they skip the hard focused work when it becomes uncomfortable? Retreat into complaint and accept doubt as a valid reason for inaction? They do not. The person you are becoming holds the line with quiet consistency. They protect their time and the energy it represents with the seriousness of someone who understands exactly what it is worth. They attack their goals with the intensity that real goals demand. They do not construct excuses for themselves because excuses do not serve the mission they are committed to completing. Once you identify with genuine clarity who you are building yourself toward, every single habit must pass through that filter before it is allowed to remain in your life. Ask whether what you are about to do serves the future you have committed to. If it does not pass that test, it does not stay. No negotiation, no exceptions made for comfort or familiarity. That is how the shift in identity begins to happen at a level that is real and lasting, rather than performed for a short period and then abandoned. Not by spending more time thinking about who you want to become, but by proving that identity through action repeatedly in every available moment. Each day you operate from the identity of the person you are building rather than the person you have been. You send a message to your own mind with every choice you make that says, "This is who I am now." Habits construct identity. Identity shapes behavior. Behavior builds results. Results, accumulated consistently over sufficient time, shape the entire reality of your life. If your habits are undisciplined, the results you produce will be scattered and inconsistent. If your habits are weak, your confidence will prove insufficient when pressure arrives and the outcome matters most. But if your habits are deliberate, strategic, and genuinely tied to who you are in the process of becoming, momentum becomes your most reliable ally. You begin winning individual days, and then weeks, and then months, with a consistency that compounds into something that functions as unshakable power. Your time is the most irreplaceable resource you have been given. Every second that passes is gone from your account permanently and without the possibility of recovery. What you choose to do with it is the clearest and most honest reflection of what you genuinely value, not what you say you value, but what you actually demonstrate through your choices. You do not get time back. You cannot negotiate for more of it. And the honest truth that most people avoid examining too closely is that most people are not too busy to build the life they want. They are too careless with the time they already have. They distribute it freely to distractions, to people who consistently drain them, to tasks that lead nowhere of consequence, and to habits that serve nothing they actually care about. If you understood with full clarity how genuinely limited your time is, you would stop spending it on things that do not move your life in a meaningful direction. Time is not a resource to be managed like a budget with margins and flex built in. It is something to be respected at the level you would respect the most irreplaceable thing you have ever been entrusted with, because every way that time gets spent eventually becomes your legacy. The life you are living right now is the accumulated result of every hour you have spent up until this moment, and the life you will be living 5 years from now will be the direct product of what you choose to do with the hours available to you starting today. That is not a concept, that is a law. And it operates without exception for every person, regardless of their circumstances. Where you invest your time is where your life will go. If you invest in weakness, you will inhabit a weak life. If you invest in distraction, you will inhabit a distracted life. If you invest your best hours in people and activities that do not build you, you will inhabit a life full of noise and empty of real growth. But if you invest with full intention in building your discipline, sharpening the skills that matter, protecting your peace with real effort, and pushing the boundaries of your potential on a consistent basis, then the life you inhabit will reflect the power of those investments in every dimension. Failure is feedback delivered to you directly from your experience. Rebuild from what it tells you with greater strategy, and without the paralyzing weight of regret. There is no genuine progress available without the pressure that precedes it. There is no real evolution without the errors that teach you what the next level requires. Every time you fall, it is not a signal issued by the universe to stop what you are attempting. It is a signal to adjust the approach, refine the strategy, and come back with a precision that the previous attempt did not have. Success begins the moment you stop waiting for motivation to appear and start building, regardless of whether it shows up or not. If you are still standing in place waiting for motivation to provide you with sufficient energy to begin, you are already operating at a deficit. Motivation is not a reliable foundation. It is unpredictable in its timing and fragile in its duration. It disappears precisely when you need it most, and arrives without warning when you least expect it. If you have constructed your discipline, your habits, and your entire forward momentum around the requirement of feeling motivated first, you have already surrendered the outcome to forces outside your control. Success is not born in the fire of inspiration that arrives and lifts you effortlessly into action. It is forged in the sustained and unglamorous grind of consistent effort, applied day after day without the emotional support of feeling particularly inspired. It begins the moment you stop allowing your emotions to function as the authority over your actions. Every day is a single brick in the structure of the life you are building. Place it with full intention or accept that you have wasted what that day was capable of producing. Your life is not built in a single moment of dramatic resolution. It is not constructed through occasional bursts of enormous effort followed by long periods of recovery. It is built one decision at a time, one action at a time, one action at a time, one day at a time, laid with the precision of someone who understands that the structure they are building will eventually be the life they inhabit. Every morning, when you open your eyes to a new day, you are being handed a single brick. What you choose to do with it is your decision and your responsibility alone. You can place it with the care, the discipline, and the directional purpose of someone who is building toward something specific and worthy of everything they have. Or you can set it aside and spend the day in distraction, delay, and the comfortable habits that produce nothing of lasting value. But understand completely and without softening this truth. The way you choose to place each brick determines the shape of everything your life will become. Most people do not feel the full weight of a single day. They move through it as though it is simply another interchangeable unit of time with no particular significance. But days become patterns, and patterns become the life you inhabit. You are not simply skipping one workout. You are establishing the pattern of a person who does not keep commitments made to themselves. You are not simply hitting the snooze button one more time. You are rehearsing the identity of someone who has decided that comfort matters more than commitment when the moment of decision arrives. Every action you take is either construction of the life you want or deconstruction of it. There is no in-between. There is no action that is simply neutral in its effect. Over time, excellence is built in the smallest choices, the ones that carry no audience and generate no applause. It is constructed in what you do with your mornings when no one has placed any accountability on you. It lives in how you respond to discomfort when walking away from it would cost you nothing in the short run. It accumulates in the habits you maintain when maintaining them is the least exciting option available. Place your bricks with excellence. Place them every single day. Place them especially when no one is watching, and no one will ever know whether you did or whether you chose differently, because one day you will either stand on top of something you built with full intention and genuine discipline, something that represents the best you were capable of producing, or you will stare at the empty space where your potential always was and recognize that you chose comfort over construction, one day at a time, until there was nothing left to build with. The life you want is not waiting somewhere in the future for conditions to become ideal before it can arrive. It is available right now, and it is being built or abandoned right now in the choices you are making with this day, this hour, this moment. Build it. Build it when it is hard. Build it when you are tired. Build it when it is boring and unglamorous, and when the results are not yet visible and the people around you do not yet understand what you are attempting. Because one day you will look at what you have built with everything you had, and you will understand with complete clarity that you did not just build habits or a routine or a career or a body. You built yourself, unshakable and relentless and proven. Not because you talked about greatness with passion, but because you placed every brick with full intention and refused to stop until the structure was complete. That is how you rebuild yourself. That is how it has always been done. And that is exactly how you will do it.